Okay, multiplying and dividing. So yesterday we did one step adding and subtracting. So this is multiplying and dividing. Same goal. We're trying to figure out what the letter or the variable is representing. Same goal. Remember, to do that, we have to do the opposite of whatever operation is going on in the problem. Okay? So like yesterday, we would do the opposite to get rid of our number that was on the variable side to figure out what the variable was. We're doing the same thing today. Okay? If you ever see a number that's just right next to that variable, like they're scooched up next to each other, like this one, negative 5v, that means they're being multiplied. So this is the same as saying negative 5 times something equals positive 25. So if that's multiplication, and I want to get this by itself, I have to do the opposite to get rid of it. So what should I do?
25 divided by 5.
Wait, divide.
I'm going to divide. Good. So divide by negative 5 on both sides of your equal sign. So what you do to one side, you do to the other side. I do it to the first side to cancel it out. So if I'm dividing a positive by a negative number, what's my answer going to be?
Negative.
It's going to be a negative. And 25 divided by negative 5 is?
Negative 5.
Negative 5.
Okay, I don't get it.
Okay, example 2. I can rewrite example 2 so that my variable's on the left side. So I'm going to put x divided by 5 equals negative 10. So something, we don't know yet, something divided by 5 is going to give us negative 10. If division is in your problem, so something divided by 5, that's division. I got to get the variable by itself, same goal. So I have to get rid of 5. And I do that by doing the opposite operation. So the opposite of division is what? Multiplication. So I'm going to multiply that 5 on both sides of my equal sign. Okay? We always want to start on the side that has the variable. That's why I'm getting rid of the 5 and not the 10. So I multiply. These will cancel out because it's the opposite operation. Then I'm going to multiply negative 10 times 5. So negative 10 times 5.
Couldn't you just do negative 10 divided by 5?
So then, well, if you're stuck, you can go back and plug it in your problem. If x is supposed to be negative 50, if I put negative 50 and I divide it by 5, what do I get? So I still get negative 10. So you can always go and check your answer. Okay, so look at example 1. I've got 13 times y equals 13. So 13 times something equals 13. So if it's multiplication, what would I do to get rid of that 13? The opposite of multiplication is division. And y'all could probably just eyeball that answer. So y equals 1. So that means 13 times 1 equals 13. Which is true. Number 2. So number 2, x divided by 2 equals 26. Something divided by 2 equals 26. So if it's division that's in my problem, I want to do the opposite to get rid of that 2. So I have my x by myself on this side. So the opposite of division would be to multiply. So I'm going to multiply by 2, multiply by 2. So I can cancel it out over here because I just did the opposite operation. And then 26 times 2. 52. So x equals 52. Number 3 is a little weird. I'm going to rewrite it though, so my variable's on the left side. That'll help us out. So 7k or 7 times k equals negative 3. Okay? So 7 times something is going to equal negative 3. How do I get rid of that 7? I want k by itself.
Divide it by, wait, divide, right?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
I'm going to divide it. That's good.
Oh,
So those will cancel out. And you could probably leave it like that, -3/7. Or if you wanted to get a little decimal number, you could divide that. And so if you've got a fraction like that, the top dog goes in the doghouse. So 3 divided by 7. But we would have to add a decimal. And 7 could go into 30, then in that case, 4 times. And I would just stop there.
See, that's where. Isn't it once you multiply a whole number by
So I divided a positive and a negative, so I get a -0.42. Yeah, you should know if your answer is going to be smaller, then you have to be multiplying by some decimal to get a smaller answer. Then on number 4, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to rewrite it first, and that's -8.5k equals 7. So -8.5 times something equals 7. So I want to start on this side because I want to get rid of everything except for that variable. And since it's multiplication, I do the opposite. Divide by -8.5.
oh.
And this one's just like the last one. It's got decimals, which we did last week. So fractions, to divide them, top dog goes in the doghouse. So if I divided 7 by 8.5, remember the outside, inside up. Move your decimal that's on the outside. It takes us 1 move to get to the end of that number. So that's the outside. I'm going to do the same thing on the inside. Outside, inside, up. So I have to put a 0 up here. So that would be leaving us with having to add a 0. So about how many times could 85 go into 700? So 85 times 8, 240. That'll work. So I can put 0.8 and get 680. I'll have 20 left over, and I'm just going to stop there. So I'm going to say that x equals positive 0.8 or negative 0.8. I divided a positive number and a negative number. So negative 0.8. Okay, number 5, I've got -7 times something equals -28. I got to start on the side that has the variable so I can get rid of everything except for the variable. If it's multiplying, how am I going to get rid of that -7? Opposite of multiplying. Okay, so they cancel out on the left side. -28 divided by -7.
4.
Okay. Positive 4. Okay, then on number 6, we can rewrite it. Something divided by 15 equals -5. So the whole point, I got to get this by itself. If it's division that's in my problem, what's the opposite?
Multiplication.
I'm going to multiply. So I'm going to multiply by 15 on both sides. So I cancel it out of the first side because that was the whole point. I wanted to get rid of it. And then multiply it on the right side. So 15 times 5.
75.
75. And is that positive or negative? Integer rules.
Negative.
Negative.
How'd you do that?
Because integer rules are killing everything. And so that number line's just there because once we get into inequalities, you'll see those number lines. So just remember, if it's like an equal sign, then whenever you go to plot your point, it's going to be a shaded in circle.
Oh, yeah. I forgot how to.
Okay. So yeah, just remember when you, like this one, when you're multiplying, you're doing it to cancel it out on one side. So you don't want to multiply 10 times 10 because this would actually be, multiplying it would look like that. And that would reduce to 1. Just make sure you know one side you're doing it just to cancel it out.